Hi guys, Brand here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, this one's going to be a little bit of a different one. Today, and mostly this week, we're going to start tackling some things that I think could make killers play a little bit better, because it's something that we've been breaking down a lot on the Twitch channel lately, on things that make you a better killer, things that attribute yourself to being a better killer. And I've made a couple of videos in the past month or so, where I make the frequent claim of your chases should be around 20 to 25 seconds. That's something you should be doing. And this is something that I get a lot of pushback on. People say it's not possible, but it's interesting because when I watch, killer streamers that are very, very popular and very, very good at game, like Otstarva, they do this pretty commonly. So I don't know why this is out of the realm of possibility for a lot of people, but I thought instead of just trying to argue back and forth about it, I thought let's make a couple videos, at least this week, and continue going on, talking about how you can achieve this yourself. And I'm going to start off by adjusting the killer mindset, because I feel like a lot of killers come from a very, very poor mindset. Now, this one's going to be mostly, like I said, about a mentality and not so much something solid you can do in the game, but it does result in more solid play, so it is still worth learning either way. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So, I think that one of the most intrinsic things about Dead by Daylight is that it is a side-v-side game. Now, one of the most awful things that comes out of this is obviously side-v-side politics of people being very, very biased killing mains or very, very biased survivor mains, but that's neither here or there. That's a different video. That's a different video, and I've made tons of videos about how I hate that. But this actually plays a role in both sides playing worse, but I would argue especially the killer side plays worse when they're under the guise of this mentality, and more specifically, not being willing to learn the way survivors play. Let's explain that. It takes two to tango. It's a side-v-side game. It takes two to tango. Intrinsically, you need the killer and the survivor to play the video game. So, meanwhile, while you're trying to learn how to, have map pressure, you're learning how to focus two survivors instead of the whole team at the same time. While you're learning a lot of things that are really, really good for killer, survivors, on the other end, are also learning a lot of good things. When to stay in a loop, when to leave a loop, when do I drop the pallet, when do I drop it early, do I drop it late after a couple loops? That is stuff that they're learning on the other end. They essentially have a whole other world of text and skill that they are learning side by side with you. Things that you don't know about, things that you're not aware of or have very, very little information on, that they are constantly learning and advancing at. So you got to think about this almost like, this sounds a little intense, but you got to think about it as like in war, or let's not use war. Let's say football, right? Like in football or sports in general in real life, the coaches are always looking out for the other coach's playbook. They're what are common plays that other coaches like to do? What would they go for under this pressure? If we are doing this to the team, what kind of plays would they use in response? That's why if you look in in common sports, whenever a coach is giving orders and stuff, he's doing this, right? He's covering his mouth because he doesn't want the other team to see what kind of plays he's giving out. So DBD it sounds strange, but DBD is kind of the same way, where you should be ideally looking for your opponent's play at any given point. You should be, and this goes for killer and survivor actually, is you should be looking for what the other player is going to likely do at any given point. You got to be not only a student of your game on your side, but you also have to be a student of their game on the other side. And I think this is something that killers really, really fail at doing, because they don't get invested in things like when a survivor should leave a tile, or when a survivor's feeling like leaving a tile. They don't think about when a survivor's going to pre-drop versus actually, play a tile and get a couple loops first. They don't think about what gens would be smart to do right now to break up a 3-gen, so they go pressure those. When killers only think from their own mindset of what they want to do and what they're good at, they fail to see the full picture, because you are not able to intercept and counterattack the plays that the other characters are making, because you want to live in your own world of just your killer bubble. And I see this most commonly on a lot of killer streamers, big killer streamers that only play killer. They get in this mentality that anything good that a survivor does, or any smart play that a survivor does, is inherently oh, well, that wasn't skillful, or that was really, really dumb, or that just made no sense. And it's hard for you as a budding killer main to hear somebody with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours say that a good survivor play, just write off a good survivor play, because then in your head, you're this guy's expert. So clearly, he knows that survivor play was not skilled. But in a lot of cases, a lot of what survivors do to win matches is really skillful. So you gotta look into their playbook. Now, I'm not saying necessarily you have to play Survivor yourself. That would help a lot. That's when I started playing more and more Survivor, it helped me become a better killer because quite literally I circumvent survivors so much easier because I know their playbook. I know what plays they are often going to go for. And honestly, the survivors that screw me up the most are A, people who just bring gen cheese, and B, people that just play weird. People that do plays that I'm not familiar with or are just outright bizarre because I no longer know what their playbook is. But that's because I've invested the time in playing, but you could also invest the time in actually just watching Survivor streams or just watching killer mains that are a little bit more open-minded to both sides of the game, because those are the ones that will be honest with you about, okay, that was a good loop, or that was a good time to leave loop, that was a good dodge. Because once you start seeing the game from their perspective, not even like changing sides or whatever, but just seeing the game and the way that they play it, getting inside their head, walking inside their shoes, you're able to see what they want and beat them to it. I think a perfect example is I was playing a game on Ormond recently. I was playing a killer game on Ormond, and there was this person looping a path tile next to Shack at the back of the tile on Ormond. So I'm thinking, if I'm in that situation as Survivor, what I want to do is probably loop the tile once, loop the path tile once, leave, and then go loop Shack. So Shack is way stronger than a path tile. So I would rather be at Shack looping, ideally, than a path tile, and it's right there. So all I have to do is take this loop on one side and then leave it as soon as I get to that side and go over to Shack. However, because I know that is the most likely play that the survivor is going to make, I as killer rotate and force them the opposite direction. So now if they are going to leave the tile, they have to run away from Shack. So I am essentially denying them a very huge and very strong tile for survivors to loop on, just because I have that, I'm in their head. I know what their playbook is. The playbook would be to go to Shack. But if I cut them off, the chase is going to end quicker because they don't have as good of a resource to use. And it's little things like that that shave off the time of chases. I'm going to give you something a little bit more firm, something a little bit more concrete. That is a good tip for you tomorrow. But you need to understand first and foremost that if you never, ever decide to learn the Survivor playbook, whether it be from watching Survivor streamers, whether it be through playing yourself, or watching a killer main that explains what survivors do, you're never going to get better. You are going to have a firm ceiling where you never improve because you are not getting inside the head of your enemy, and ergo, never going to be able to truly anticipate what they're going to do. And there's no greater strength in this game. I think it's one of the biggest killer mistakes in this game is not learning the Survivor playbook. So don't do that. So don't do that. But yeah, I thought this was something that I saw pretty commonly in the DBD community as just a very bad mentality that holds a lot of good killers back. A lot of good killers that should be great killers that are held back by dismissing Survivor skill and never learning the Survivor playbook. So make sure you're doing this out there. Make sure you're doing one of those three things I mentioned, either watching Survivor streamers, playing a little bit more Survivor yourself, or watching a killer main that actually explains what survivors are doing. That way you can learn the Survivor playbook so you can, ergo, counter the Survivor playbook. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully this helped you, but if it didn't, I don't know what to do because I don't know, maybe the video just wasn't for you. I don't know. This isn't I'm just a guy making YouTube videos in a room. I'm not a customer service rep. Figure it out, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I do upload daily though, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, well, the thing I say. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.